Hey guys, it's Rachel.
And Sharon.
Welcome back to Never Did Run True.
On today's episode?
We are going to talk about... I was thinking about this while I was cooking at lunch. I kind of want to call it like the Abandoned American Holiday saga.
Okay.
Because I have...
This is all news to me. I have no idea what she has planned.
Well, I have another holiday that was written into... It's not like a day off holiday, but it's a Arab American Heritage Month for the entire month of April. Did you know that? Mm-mm. Probably not. Did you know there was an Arab American Heritage Month? Probably not. So that's why we're going to celebrate it. So I'd like to preface this with, I didn't know the correct term was Arab.
Okay.
I didn't know that. I don't know that I've met anyone of Middle Eastern descent that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
Not that,
especially, maybe in passing, but not like...
I've never had, a connection with someone who's been, open about, my mom's Lebanese or my grandparents moved from Syria or something. I just not... Again, maybe it's a cashier at a store or something.
But it's not super common in our area.
Our demographic does not lean towards that. So I did the best I could. I am a medium researcher. I usually check more than one source, but I'm not a go-get-'em girl.
This isn't a research paper.
I did, though. I went to Notre Dame. I did Wikipedia. I did Notre Dame. I can't remember, the Arab American Heritage Foundation website. And then I went to the links that they had listed for their informational links because I was I'm not getting enough information. This was one of the hardest things I've been able to, or tried to research. It's not impossible. It's not that there's no information, but it's really small, narrow information. Maybe I'm not using the right words, but Arab American Heritage Month is what I put in, so I feel and then
I be able to find
I changed it here and there to when I had specific questions. But yeah, you'd think you'd find more. And I read good source articles, but or I read genuine source articles, but they weren't all good. Some of them were you didn't cite your source, sir. You don't get to just make this up. According to studies, that's what I get to say. I'm on a podcast that 15 people listen to. So anyway, I'm going to do this as best I can. There will probably be holes, but I learned things, and now Sharon gets to too. So Arab American Heritage Month is all of April, the entire month of April. It wasn't we mentioned during Black History Month, that was a long time coming. It was a week, and then people were we need it to be more, and then the colleges got involved, and we fought for it to be a full month, not just it became one. Is that loud?
If you hear something, it's the washer.
Yeah.
It's okay. Or the lawnmower. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's background noise, people. So anyway, it wasn't even... Arab Americans weren't celebrating their heritage on a public scale until the 90s.
Okay.
So not that long ago.
I don't know. But I do feel there are less of them.
I have these numbers for you.
Okay, perfect. Because, if there are, we'll say, 0 in our area... Yeah, that's not saying much, but I feel in general, in the United States.
So there's about 4 million people in the U.S. who identify as Arab American.
Okay.
And it's kind of a murky definition because it doesn't mean necessarily, again, was it your grandparents? Was it your parents? How you get to choose if you'd identify as Arab American. And I'll get into this more later. Also, there's different, it's Middle Eastern, but not really, because Egypt is considered an Arab nation, so it's considered part of it. It's not just...
So it's technically dealer's choice.
It's kind of do you want to consider yourself Arab American heritage? Mm-hmm. You get to pick. I feel it kind of goes that way for a lot of people. What makes an Italian American? How many generations removed do you stop being Italian American and just be American?
Yeah.
I feel it's if you celebrate that heritage or that part of yourself, then you get to call yourself that.
That's true.
But so the 4 million is a number, but it's not a concrete number. Are some of these great grandkids? Are some of these direct immigrants?
Census numbers.
Yeah, so. it is. Mm-hmm. But it was beginning fairly unorganized. It was more community events and areas where immigration had been heavy, so there was a heavier population. In 2019, the bill for celebrating April as Arab American Heritage Month, went to Congress. In 2021, it gets kind of confusing. In 2021, Biden recognized it federally. In 22, he said, yes, we're doing this. And then 23, he actually, finished all the paperwork.
Okay.
But from the research I found, 2022 is when most people are considering it official.
Okay.
Because he declared it and then he started. It just didn't finish. I don't know how it all works.
It just leads my brain to, I declare bankruptcy. Michael, just because you say you're bankrupt doesn't mean anything. I declared it.
That's very much what it is. We declare, we the people. So, I mean, obviously made people happy, but also, in the grand scheme of things, this has not existed for very many years. It's not been in our psyche and our culture the way some other ones have. And again, our population is not, it is relatively small population. It's not like you said, millions and millions and millions and millions and millions. That was 5 million if you're curious. Let's say 2022 is whenever we start being yeah, we're going to celebrate this and we're going to put it on PBS and we're going to put it on websites for museums and we're going to put it on national websites. Well, then in 2024 we stopped doing that. So it had 2 years. So it didn't really have a huge, it had a rough launch, let's just say.
I was going to say, so it still technically is, but it's just not advertised.
Yes. So the government's current position, based off my limited understanding of the government, because I don't know that the government always knows what the government is doing right now, is that technically all of these holidays that we're celebrating as abandoned holidays still can exist. They're not.
Well, any holiday can exist.
I know. I made up a holiday once with one of our friends, and I don't remember what it was. It was a random one. Anyway, we ate rice. I don't know why. We didn't have barley. It's a whole thing. Anyway. But no federal funding will go towards the celebration or recognition of it. So, on a state level, states can do things, communities can do things, groups can do things, and we can say it, and it's set aside for it, but there is no official celebration. I did write down some countries because I wasn't sure. I didn't write down all the countries. But some of the more common countries that people who are of Arab American heritage identify from is Syria, Lebanon, Egypt, Palestine, Iraq, Iran, Jordan, Yemen. There's probably more, but those are just some of the ones that have had a large influx, especially in the last couple of years. So, you would never guess when the first...
Don't do this to me. You always ask me about dates, and I'm like, I don't know.
We had a meeting one time. I was like, what don't you like about the podcast? And she's like, when you just surprise me with stuff. That was at the very, very beginning. It was the second day. I was like, what? Second podcast. I was like, what can I do better? And you're like, just stop it. Stop surprising.
You can ask me questions, but don't ask me dates.
Yeah, that sounds fair. So, the first documented Arab American immigrant to the United States was in 1527. So there was no United States. It was just land. Everyone was an immigrant. Including this guy. He happened to be a person of Arab descent who happened to be on a boat that had immigrants on it.
I love that you're like,
I was going to say colonizers, but that's a negative connotation of the word colonists. But they were. Anyway. So there's waves of immigration. I really tried. So waves of immigration, ignoring, I don't know his name. The first guy, I don't know his name. I don't know, they just.
You're the research person.
I know. I put it in parentheses and I can't read it. So anyway.
So you wrote it down. You tried.
I tried. So the first wave of Arab American, or I guess I should say Middle Eastern immigration, because they aren't Americans yet, was in about 1880 to about 1924.
Okay.
So around 200,000 people came, mostly fleeing various unrests, and I believe it was mostly Lebanon. Let's turn the page. Yeah. Mostly Lebanon, not exclusively. And it was, that time was a heavy immigration period anyway.
Was it because of, political unrest there? Okay.
Political unrest, but also, America at that moment was very much we need laborers. Come here and labor for us, and it will be great.
Sure.
They did fine, honestly. There wasn't extra bad prejudiced against them any more than there was against other immigrants. It wasn't like
Well,
they weren't. It wasn't a great time to be different. When is a great time to be different?
Say, we're not into other things we've discussed yet.
Yeah.
So
It is a notable thing that at that time most of the immigrants were actually Christian.
okay.
But like they formed basically small communities, kind of stayed within their communities, et cetera, et cetera. So there was another wave after that. It was about 1920 to 1960. These are rough ones. So this one was a little bit different. There was caps put on immigration from non-white European countries. So like England could, if you were English, you could come over anytime. But if you look different, bad. So most of the immigration that was happening then, it wasn't notable at all. It was very, very limited. It was Palestinian refugees because civil unrest. And laborers from countries that were not technically supposed to be here, but were cheap labor. And they didn't ask questions. They just wanted to work.
Sure.
They just were trying to help. 1960s to 1990s is when what we think of as the immigrant system now. The laws loosened up, relatively speaking. I mean, it's not easy, but like it's not impossible. And we had a lot of immigrants come in. This is when we got a lot of Palestinian, again, immigrants and Lebanese. Again, not saying that it was just exclusively those. Like,
Sure.
There's unrest in other places. There's sometimes you just live in a place and you're like, I don't love this climate for my family.
I want to leave.
I want to leave. About 400,000 people came in that 30 years. And like, if you do the math, you're like, how do you get from 400,000 to 4 million? Again, these people had kids. They came over, they became citizens and brought other people. Like, these aren't hard numbers. These are rough numbers.
Well, and like you said, when do you cut off that as your selected
when does it
word?
Yeah.
Like,
when is that not your heritage? When are you simply American? Like, yeah,
right.
My argument would be
Because,
3
I mean-
generations, but it's up to your family and you.
Well, and in that last wave, that could be 3 generations. I mean, that could be...
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
That
absolutely.
could be 5 generations.
If each one of these people, 400,000 people, has 2 kids, like, okay, there's a couple million. It got, not sticky isn't the right word, but like, so stereotypes of Middle Eastern people are going to be Muslim, of a non-traditionally white skin tone, relatively dark features, etc., etc. The problem with this is, it's not accurate at all. Shocker. I know, we have stereotypes. Weird.
What is that?
Yeah, crazy. So the breakdown as of 2002, and this was from a 2002 census. I could not find
Which,
more accurate
let's
numbers.
take 2002 with a grain of salt because of what had happened recently.
Uh-huh. Let's keep that in mind. But at that time, the immigrant population who proclaimed,
Identified.
yes, thank you, self-identified, was 63% of them identified as Christian, 24% as Muslim, and 13% defined themselves as either a different religion or no religion. So again, we're actually still looking at a mostly Christian population, even though it's it's not what, if you say Middle Eastern people aren't like, oh yeah, the Christian nation of the Middle East, like, it's... So, as I mentioned earlier, the first wave of immigrants were almost exclusively Christian. Some were Eastern Orthodox, if you're curious. The newer generation tends to be Muslim, only because those countries that they're fleeing from tend to be Muslim, more strongly Muslim now.
Yeah.
The freedom of religion from the places that they're coming from has really been struck down, so, like, you're gonna worship whatever God doesn't get you killed.
Washer's done.
Yeah! I thought this was interesting. New York City has not the largest population, but like in the U.S., the largest population of Arab Jews, which seems like an oxymoron. Apparently there's some infighting between like the Orthodox Jews and the Arab Jews. Like, the Orthodox people are like, you aren't actually Jewish because it's a heritage, and they're like, we follow the Jewish religion. Okay. We just happen to not be of Jewish descent. Okay. It's interesting, because Judaism's confusing, or not confusing, but it's complex, because I could just decide to be a Jew, but that doesn't make me a Jew of Jewish heritage.
Sure.
Like, it's not automatic. So, yeah, these people are having a great time in New York City, just making things fun. Also, since we're talking about race and religion, just to make it even more confusing, in U.S. censuses, technically, if you're of Arab American heritage, you identify on that census as white. You can then identify more so as Arab American. That's how they're getting these numbers. But they count as part of the white population.
Interesting.
Yes. What makes it even more complex is they're not all white, because some of those people who are fleeing from those countries are actually descendants of slaves who were brought from Africa to the Middle East to be slaves and then left because they were slaves. Like, it's not as cut and dry. It's as complicated as anything.
Yeah.
And it's also, like, there are blue-eyed, blonde-haired people who consider themselves Egyptian, and then there are what you think of as traditional Egyptian. Like, it's not, again, hard and fast rules. That's terribly racist.
Well, and I mean, genetics can be...
Well, and like I said, like, if your family moved from Spain 5 generations ago and you live there, are you no longer considered Egyptian? Your
Right.
family's been there for, let's say, 80 years, but you're not Egyptian because you haven't been there for 300? Like, who gets to choose these things?
We do, Rachel.
I know, it's super fun. I have some more statistics. 62% of the people of Arab American heritage consider themselves Democrats. 25% consider themselves Republicans. This is in a 2017 poll of people who are being asked at random. It's, well, not at random. I mean, it was a real poll, but it wasn't like a census documentation.
Okay.
So it's leans one direction, like what doesn't.
I'll be honest, I'm not surprised at that percent leaning.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. I mean, exactly. It's about all the statistics I have. I thought I had more. I don't. So, I did look into cultural things, but again, the complexities of saying, like, Arab American is, like, 12 different countries. It's like, you can't just be like, well, everyone in Syria eats that. No, there's cultural differences, and then there's regional differences, and then there's religious differences. So it got very complex. It's not fair to say, like, again, this is going to sound terrible, but, like, all Egyptians wear turbans. Like, no, like, some people are making individual choices to either embrace heritage or embrace tradition, and some are not. It's America. You're allowed to do that. It's great.
well, and it's like, as you live here for longer, you might decide, well, I don't agree with this anymore, so I'm going to start doing this instead. Because when I was in college, someone who lived like 2 rooms over, she wore a hijab, and then now she no longer does. So it's just, I mean, it's your own personal journey as well. Like, there's no rhyme or reason to it as much anymore.
No, I would agree. Again, I think it's important that it's a personal journey, and because you shouldn't do something just because that's how we've always done it. It should be a choice you make for yourself. So let's talk about hate crimes. Unfortunately, Arab Americans are victims to hate crimes a lot. Like, more than is on the news.
Especially now.
So she got the hammer on the nail on the hammer.
What?
So this
You
past,
hit the nail on the head with the hammer.
I don't know, there's a hammer. It's called a split idiom. I know what that phrase is called. When you use an idiom incorrectly. Anyway. So, as you can imagine, as we mentioned, 2001 was not an amazing time to present in a certain way in the American culture. It, in 2024 to 2025, is worse. There's been, it's 7.4% worse now
And we don't
than it
have
was in 2001.
numbers for today.
I don't, yeah. I actually looked. I did look. The numbers are basically, hey, it's bad, please stop hurting us. Like, okay. I just Googled, and I wasn't sure how this is going to affect my algorithm. Hate crimes against Arab Americans. Within the last 3 days, I read 8 different articles. Now, some of them told, like, a couple of them, I think 2 of them were the same incident. One was, like, she got arrested, now she's getting sentenced. And some of them are, I'm not going to say not so bad. One woman slapped a 12-year-old girl in the face and called her a racial slur, and then tried to push her off of a train platform. Like, she lived, like, that. It's bad. But in New York City, 3 boys killed a 16-year-old boy. They were all 16-year-olds. Like, they killed him for racial reasons.
Well, and
like,
I mean, again, if that's where the highest percent of the population are for...
Yeah. So, stop Arab hate. Again, like, I feel like the notes speak for themselves, and it's obviously, we don't have a population here to defend this, but, like, people get to be people, no matter what. If they're not hurt anyone, especially if you're stereotyping, stop it. Don't be gross.
the way you phrase things.
Like, I don't know how to say it more clearly than that. Don't stereotype people, and definitely don't hurt people because you've chosen to stereotype them. If you see people hurting people, stop that. Like, I never understood that. But it's called empathy.
We're learning all kinds of new words.
So cap today. I did think to myself, okay, so for us at least, it's like Arab Americans are like this theoretical construct because we don't know any, right? Like, it doesn't seem fair. So I wrote down some that everyone should know. I would think. You're gonna have to help me. I know this one. Paula Abdul, the famous singer and American Idol judge. Her dad is Syrian and her mom was Brazilian / Lebanese.
Okay.
And her dad was actually Syrian Jewish. So, like, she's just got it all going. I don't know how to say. I think it's Rami.
Oh, Rami Malek.
Malek. Yeah, I knew Malek. He's an actor. He was Freddie in Bohemian Rhapsody. He was
in Twilight? The later ones?
Okay, I don't know.
Or, like, the last two.
He was also in Night at the Museum as the mummy.
Don't cross this line. No, that's Hank Azaria, but, like, he's the one that...
Yeah, he's the one that wakes up every night. Yeah. Anyway, he's Egyptian. And I remember when he got cast in Night at the Museum, people were really excited because he's playing an Egyptian mummy. And they're like, we're so happy they cast someone who's not just, quote, dark skin. Like, he's actually culturally appropriate to be playing that role. People were thrilled. Salma
Hayek?
Thank you. I got Salma right. She is also an actress. Her dad's Lebanese. Her mom's actually Mexican. And she was in several older movies. I mean, not older, but like 90s.
90s.
Yeah, so she was popular. Ralph Nader is Lebanese.
Like, vote for Nader? Ralph Nader? Okay.
Yeah. I actually didn't know what else he had done, because I knew he was a political activist. He wrote a book called Unsafe at Any Speed that dealt with the unsafe issues of cars, basically saying it didn't matter what speed you were going, these safety features weren't working. And he actually managed to make changes with the outrage after this book.
Well, he should expand on that for women's bodies, because
He should.
I was driving over here and the seatbelt was really just
Digging in.
my neck.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't know that. I've heard of that book, but I didn't know what it was. And he actually, like I said, successfully led reform on that. Steve Jobs, his biological dad is Syrian. From the article I read, it doesn't seem like he necessarily considers himself culturally Arab American. But now you go back to the other way, like before we said you can embrace it if you want to. Okay, you still are your ethnicity even if you aren't choosing to be part of that culture. Goes both ways. And then Tony Fadell, I'm almost positive is how you say it. He's Lebanese, and he worked on the iPod with Steve Jobs, and then he broke away, and then he created the Nest thermostat system.
Oh.
Yeah. He's considered the father of the iPod, if you're curious.
Oh.
Yeah. He did all of the, like, work that made it the iPod, basically. Like,
Okay.
Apple may have branded it and got it out there, but, like, he did the technology.
The bits and pieces.
Yeah, the little pieces. So, again, not all of these people are necessarily making it their mission in life to be like, I'm Arab American and I'm proud of it. Some of them are more open than others. Most of them are like, could you pay attention to the fact that I'm a really good actress and not necessarily where my parents were born? Which, respect. But I thought it was important to include names that we all knew, because if not, it becomes a very...
Why do I care?
Just like theoretical concept of, okay, people of that culture exist. Well, here's some people you know.
Do.
Yeah. We know those countries exist. So, I don't have like a call to arms on this one necessarily where I'm like, go support this locally. There's really not. My big thing would just be, of course, if you see something, say something. Like, even if it's casual, if people are like, well, all those blah, 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 like, don't generalize. That's not fair to any culture. It's not fair to say all blanks are blank. Just try to, if you can stop yourself from thinking it, or just mention, oh, I don't understand that. Can you explain that to me? Most people will take a second to think about what they're saying. And if you can improve a little bit over time, maybe it'll improve a lot. So, all right, that's all I've got today.
Okay.
All right.
We'll see you in 2 weeks.
All right, love you.
Love you.